guys? It's Kayla.
And Jim.
And welcome back to another Meteorology Monday.
Alright, so it's been a little bit since we did our last Met Monday.
It's been a moment, yes.
This week's is an interesting topic.
It is.
Some of you may have already seen some of the news articles out there about the new GOES-T satellite that has made it to Florida now and is going to be launched in March of 2022.
Yep, we got a new satellite going up. Very big news in the meteorology world this week.
That's right. It's got some important stuff. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but before we get started,
make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below so you never miss another Meteorology Monday.
So a lot of the information that we're going to talk about today, we're going to get directly from the NOAA National Weather Service sites. The links will be below. Hold it. Before we get into that, we want to give you a little background first on what GOES is and where we are at right now and why GOES-T is important, why they are launching it. So first thing is, what is GOES?
GOES stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite, which is a mouthful, which is why we just call it GOES.
That's right.
Yeah, and so basically there is a lot of them. When they are on the ground, they have a letter name, so GOES-T is currently on the ground. When they get launched up there, they get changed to a number. So right now, GOES East is GOES 16, but it used to be GOES R. It kind of gets a name change once it's up there and operational.
That's right. And GOES S, which was the next one that was built and launched, is GOES 17, and that covers the western side of the United States and out into the Pacific Ocean. So you have GOES East and GOES West that covers the North American region. So GOES S is being replaced due to a cooling system malfunction. So they're trying to get the next one in line, GOES T, to launch and replace it. And once it is in place, it'll be the next number in the sequence, which would be 18. One other thing that we want to say is that GOES satellites are unique in that they are part of the definition geostationary. And what is geostationary?
So geostationary basically means that once it's up in the atmosphere, it's going to point at a specific location on Earth and it is going to travel with the Earth and it's not going to move. So the image that we're getting from the satellite is always going to be the same.
And without going into too much details, just the high level details, pardon the pun.
That was bad.
Yeah, I know. But the reason why it stays in place is because due to physics, between the Earth's gravity and the rotation of the Earth and that part of the atmosphere or outer part of the atmosphere, that is the distance. It's about 22,000 miles from the surface of the Earth. Yep. That is the point at which you can put a satellite or something there and it will stay pretty much relative to its geolocation on the Earth. Yep. So as the Earth spins, it stays pretty much at that same location. Didn't want to get too much in the details there, but that's pretty much what geostationary is for. And there's a bunch of them out there.
There's a lot.
Yeah, the United States National Weather Service, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is part of that, and they work with NASA to get them up there. And then other countries have their satellites too, so their governments work together and put up their satellites as well.
So there's a background on GOES satellites. Now let's specifically talk about GOES-T. So
I'm going to go ahead and read directly off of the NOAA National Weather Service site, and Kayla's going to go ahead and pop up some images for us while we're looking at it. NOAA's GOES-T is the third in the GOES-R series of advanced weather observing and environmental monitoring satellites. It arrived in Florida in mid-November and will begin final preparations for its launch, which is currently scheduled for March 1st, 2022. Shipping a satellite is no small feat. GOES-T is the size of a small school bus and weighs over 6,000 pounds. The spacecraft team at Lockheed Martin in Littleton, Colorado, where GOES-T was built, carefully packed the satellite in a special shipping container that protected its sensitive instruments and functioned as a miniature clean room during transport. GOES-T was then driven to Buckley Space Force Base in Aurora, Colorado, where it hitched a ride aboard a C-5 Super Galaxy aircraft to Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Upon reaching geostationary orbit after launch, GOES-T will be renamed GOES 18. After it completes instrument and systems checkout, the new satellite will go into operation as GOES West, replacing the current GOES 17. In the GOES West position, GOES 18 will watch over the U.S. West Coast, Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, Central America, and the Pacific Ocean extending to Guam. The satellite will be ideally located to detect and monitor weather systems and environmental hazards that most affects this region of the Western Hemisphere, including wildfires, atmospheric rivers, coastal fog, dust storms, and volcanic eruptions. GOES 18 will also monitor the sun for solar eruptions and detect space weather hazards that can disrupt communications, navigation systems, and power utilities on Earth.
So it sounds like an improvement of what's there,
Yep.
and also space weather is definitely becoming more of a thing to
They're putting a lot of
monitor.
instruments on there about space weather, which is really cool. I mean, because the Earth is in space, so it's kind of important to know what's going on.
If you didn't know that.
And the sun has like a major effect on not only just regular weather in our atmosphere, but you know, these solar storms and how it can impact communications and just the regular goings on down here. So that's really cool that they're putting up a satellite that actually has the capability to monitor these things.
So what kind of effort is involved in launching a satellite?
Probably a lot.
I mean, not only do you have, you know, the systems engineers, you've got the software engineers, you've got, you know, everyone delivering the payload, you've got to get how it's going to be launched into space and all that coordinated effort. So here's a brief blurb as to what they do to get this from Littleton, Colorado to Florida to up in space. NOAA oversees the GOES-R series program through an integrated NOAA-NASA office, operating the satellites, managing the ground system, and distributing the satellite data to users worldwide. NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center oversees the acquisition of the GOES-R spacecraft and instruments, and NASA's Launch Services program, based in Kennedy Space Center, which launches the satellites. Lockheed Martin designs, builds, and tests the GOES-R series satellites. L3Harris Technologies provides the main instrument payload, the Advanced Baseline Imager, along with the ground system, which includes the antenna system for data reception. So back in the day, I worked for Harris Corporation, which L3Harris and Harris, there's I'm not sure exactly the inner workings between, but Harris Corporation themselves, I worked as a system engineer helping to build weather and flight planning systems for the FAA. So understanding the process involved with the government and private companies and government subcontractors, like Lockheed Martin was the government contractor for the main thing, and then Harris would be a subcontractor to Lockheed to build, you know, do the software and a lot of that kind of thing for that specific thing that I was working on. This effort not only is that level, but this is actually putting together a satellite, getting it, you know, into space, putting it in geostationary orbit, and then the maintenance and monitorization of it afterwards and data acquisition. So this is much bigger than the program that I was working on
Just
way
a little
back
bit.
when. You know,
We went from airplanes to satellites.
that's
so.
right. So it's quite an undertaking. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of coordinated efforts, a lot of testing involved, making sure everything is good. What are the failbacks, failovers, et cetera, et cetera. So you know, a lot going on here. So GOES-T, when it becomes GOES 18, will be fully operational, and it will cover the western side of the United States, the Pacific Ocean, and adjacent areas. One component of the satellite is going to be the weather side, and specifically, the satellite will provide a detailed look at the storm properties of hurricanes, including cloud top cooling, convective structures, specific features of a hurricane's eye, upper level wind speeds, and lightning activity. Those kind of things are critical for identifying storm intensity. Next thing it'll cover is environmental hazard monitoring. Well, what is that exactly? So environmental hazard monitoring will locate wildfire hotspots, detect changes in fire behavior, predict the motions of fires, estimate a fire's intensity, and monitor smoke output and air quality effects from smoke. GOES 18 will also identify the lightning strikes most likely to ignite fires and characterize pyrocumulonimbus clouds that threaten the safety of firefighters. Coastal fog is a particular hazard in San Francisco and parts of the Pacific Northwest. Not only will GOES 18 provide high-resolution real-time imagery of fog conditions, but the satellite's rapid scanning capabilities will also help forecasters predict when fog will clear. GOES 18 data will also be important for detecting volcanic eruptions and monitoring ash and sulfur dioxide.
So that's super cool that this satellite is basically built for the West Coast specifically, because you have, you know, fog, volcanoes, wildfires, like all the major things that happen out west that don't necessarily happen out east on the East Coast. This is really cool that this satellite has everything that it needs to be placed over the western side of the United States.
That's right. Another aspect of the GOES-T/18 satellite will be ocean observations. Warm sea surface temperatures are a contributing factor in the formation of tropical storms and hurricanes. Data from GOES-18 can help forecasters provide early warning that a hurricane is forward. Sea surface data from GOES-18 will also contribute to monitoring and tracking marine heat waves, which are becoming an increasing influence on fisheries and marine life. Sea surface temperatures affect all parts of the marine food chain. Microscopic plants and animals are affected, as are the fish that eat them, and subsequently the whales, birds, and other predators that eat the fish. Ocean temperatures not only influence when and where the fish go, but also when and where fishermen must go to catch them.
So not only for hurricane monitoring, but also for marine life as well.
That's right. We briefly touched upon this earlier in the video, and that is space weather. The changing environmental conditions from the sun's atmosphere are known as space weather. Space weather is caused by electromagnetic radiation and charged particles that are released from solar storms. Changes in the magnetic field and a continuous flow of solar particles during a powerful storm headed to Earth can disrupt communication, navigation systems, and power grids, as well as result in spacecraft damage and exposure to dangerous radiation. GOES-18 hosts a suite of instruments that detect and monitor approaching space weather hazards.
So there you have it, GOES-T, soon to be GOES-18, launching in March 2022.
And again, all the links are below, and it's going to be really exciting to see this up and running, and then once we get those images in, to see what's being captured and using that information to better protect life and property and
forecast weather and space weather and fires and all this cool stuff that GOES-T is going to be able to do.
Such a cool thing.
Technology is so cool!
Meteorology and technology, they're such cool. You know what? We should probably create something like MeteoTechWx.
MeteoTechWx. Yeah,
I think it goes well together.
Alright, again, if you like what you saw, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below so you never miss another Meteorology Monday. If you want to follow more of our weather adventures, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle will pop up here, as well as our website, which is linked down below. Until next time, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Jim.
Thanks for watching.
And here's a short little video from NOAA of the satellite before it goes to space. That was bad.
That was pretty bad.